guys, what is up? It's Anna. Welcome back to my channel. This isn't usually the content that I put on my channel, but I did want to come on here and share my experience with you guys, just in case you guys were thinking about getting an IUD. Maybe you're on a different type of birth control and you're thinking about switching, or maybe you just want to know a little bit more. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about a little bit of like my birth control kind of experience and background, the insertion and removal process of an IUD, and also the side effects and some of the side effects that I experienced. So when I was about, I'd say 16 or 17, I went on the birth control pill. Now, I went on the birth control pill because I had extremely bad period. I had really heavy bleeding and really bad cramping. I would stay home from school. It was so bad and I'd be in bed all day. So me and my mom decided that it would be best for me to go on birth control pills. So we went and talked to my gynecologist and I did go on the pill, on the birth control pill for about 4 years, just to lighten my periods, make my cramps more bearable. I had no issues with the pill at all. It was really great for me. But fast forward those 4 years, I'm now 21 and I had gotten really bad about taking my pill. I'd set my reminders on my phone. Sometimes they wouldn't go off and I'd just forget to take them, or I'd forget to bring them to like my friend's house or something. So I started to look into different forms of birth control, and I had heard horror stories about the shot and the one that gets inserted into your arm, and I made the decision that an IUD would be the best choice for me. So I called my gynecologist and I talked to them about it, and I made an appointment to switch from the pill to an IUD. So this is the part where I'm going to kind of walk you guys through the insertion process and all of that stuff. If you guys don't know what an IUD is, it is an intrauterine device and it sits inside of your uterus. So I got my IUD inserted in June of 2019. So when I made my appointment, they told me first that before I came in to take an Advil or Tylenol or ibuprofen, one of those, I forget which one it was, and also that I had to have somebody drive me home. They said this because I guess a lot of people get really lightheaded or dizzy or might even pass out after. So I asked Madison if she would drive me home and she said yes. And I got there, and let me just say, I really had to pee because I was so nervous. I am a nervous peer. Then I get to the counter and she's like, okay, you're all set to go, just don't go to the bathroom. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. They were running really behind and it was like, I think it was like 30-45 minutes later and I'm about to pee my pants, and they finally call me back. I go into the room and the like nurse or assistant is in there. She was really awesome, really nice, but the reason that they didn't want you to go to the bathroom was because you had to go ahead and take a pregnancy test before the insertion, just to make sure that you weren't pregnant, whatever. It's very similar to if you've ever gotten a pap smear. They kind of put you up in those little stirrups. They put the little opener in there, and she explained to me that there's going to be 2 pinches that almost feel like really bad cramps. With my cramping from before, I was like, okay, this is gonna be fine. First pinch is gonna be them dilating the cervix, and then the second pinch is gonna be them actually inserting the IUD. So the total process of them inserting the IUD was very quick. So it took a total of, I think, like not even 5 minutes. And they went ahead and dilated the cervix. That was the first pinch, which it was a little bit painful. It felt like a really bad cramp. But then the second pinch was even worse. It was like a cramp on steroids. It hurt so bad. They had me lay there for a little bit. I was about to get right up and like go. She was like, nope, just lay down for about like 5 minutes. Then I put my pants on, left, and got driven home. Now, after I had really bad cramping for that whole day, but come the next day, it was fine. It went away. So as far as bleeding goes, after you get your IUD inserted, they say that you can bleed anywhere from a couple of days to a couple of months. And I was the person that bled for about 2 to 3 months after. The first week it was a pretty heavy flow, and then it went down to how I can explain it is like the very last days of your period, and I had that on and off with a heavier flow for about 2.5 months before it finally stopped. IUD. I know I didn't mention what type of IUD I had inserted. I had the Mirena IUD. That is a hormonal IUD. I know you can either get a hormonal one or you can get a copper one. Moving on to the side effects that I experienced with my Mirena IUD. So I had my IUD in for a total of 6 months. I wanted to give it a really fair chance, and I wanted to see if the side effects of it would, you know, kind of go away as my body was getting used to it, but that just didn't happen for me personally. One of the side effects that you can have is ovarian cysts. So about, I would say, a month into me having this IUD, I started having this really sharp shooting pain on my right side. And I gave it a couple of days and it was still there. I, of course, like took to the internet to research it because I'd never felt something like that before. And an ovarian cyst was something that came up. So I was like, maybe I have a cyst. So I called my gynecologist and I made an appointment to get an ultrasound. And I went in and sure enough, I had a very large cyst. I think they said it was about 5.5 centimeters. They said there's really nothing that they can do about it except for just keep watch on it to make sure that it doesn't get bigger, and that this was one of the side effects of the IUD. I went in for about 3 ultrasounds. I think I had the cyst for 2 months. And then this next side effect was actually the reason that I got it removed. So another side effect of the Mirena IUD is acne. Rewind to my skin before I got the IUD. I had never really had any issues with my skin. My skin was relatively clear. I never had an issue with texture. I'll insert a picture here of my skin before I got the IUD. Now this picture was taken with flash. It doesn't have any filters on it or anything. You can see that my skin was very clear. I get a pimple here and there, but never anything crazy. So after I got this IUD put in, I was experiencing really oily skin, and my skin was very normal. I never really had a problem with oiliness, and it just so happened that a couple weeks after I got my IUD inserted, we were going on a cruise. So we were in Florida and the Bahamas, so I kind of blamed it on that. I figured that being in such a humid, hot climate, that's why my skin was being a little bit greasy and gross. The cruise ended, we flew back home, and my skin was still like a little grease ball. I started to get acne, I started to get pimples, I started to get texture. This had taken such a toll on my self-confidence, and I'm sure you guys have noticed in my videos that my skin has changed, and if you have, thank you so much for not commenting anything mean or rude. It is very much appreciated. I will insert a picture of my skin here after my IUD. Like I said, I did have the IUD in for 6 months, so I really tried to give it a fair shot. I figured maybe it was just going to run its course for a couple of months and then clear. So I did try and stick it out. I went to my esthetician and I spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars trying to clear my skin during that time, and I was getting chemical peels and facials, and after those treatments it'd clear for about a week or so, and then it would just come back. Nothing that I would do was fixing it, and like I said, it took such a huge toll on my self-confidence. Like, I'd look at my skin with no makeup on in the mirror and I just start bawling because my skin was never like that before. And I'm not sitting here saying that if you have acne or texture that you're not beautiful or that you should be ashamed of your skin, because that is not at all what I'm saying. So at the end of December, I did get the IUD removed. Ever since getting my IUD removed, I have noticed a little bit of difference in my skin. It can take up to 3 months for all the hormones and everything to completely be gone from your system. I'm really not getting as many pimples as I was with it in, and my texture is slowly but surely decreasing. So hopefully by the end of that 3 months, it'll be completely gone. I now unfortunately do have some acne scarring, so I am going to be going back to my esthetician and dermatologist to see if there are some facials or peels that I can do that will help with that, but hopefully we can get back to where we were, crossing my fingers. The removal process was not nearly as bad as the insertion process. They put you up in the little stirrups, and then there's one little pinch, which is the dilating of the cervix, and then they just go ahead and yank that thing right out, which doesn't hurt so fast. Again, it was like 3 minutes, and she was like, yep, it's out, and I was like, it is? After, I really didn't experience any cramping, and I was fine for the rest of the day. So yeah, that was my whole experience with the Mirena IUD. If you guys have your experiences with the Mirena IUD or any other IUD, let me know in the comments below, because I'd like to hear your stories, if it was very similar to mine or if it was different. I'm not at all trying to sway your decision. This was just what I experienced with it. If you found this video helpful or if you liked it, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys!